after we had lost the Super Bowl last year, the expectation was to have the revenge tour, right?
Right.
But then the reality was we ended up being
It
injured.
was the reality tour. It was the reality tour.
And,
Yeah,
and
okay.
then
Yeah.
and we got injured and then went 6-10. That was the reality of it. So my question for you is, for 2021, now that we got the schedule out and with the Trey Lance possibilities and whatnot, what do you think the expectations are, and then what the reality is going to be for 2021?
I think the expectations are double-digit wins. Definitely a winning season. 10 at the minimum. 11 seems to be fair. I think Niner fans are expecting 13, but that should be the upper. Like if Trey Lance takes it over early and is really good, or if Jimmy Garoppolo, is angry and can build on what he did in 2019 and last year was a fluke, then either way, because the schedule works out pretty nicely for him.
Right. No, yeah, I definitely like the schedule. So I know you got him going week 1 at Detroit as a starter. I definitely don't think he will be the starter week 1, but I do think he will have plays. Like he will have, those a drive or two, or at least 5
Agreed.
plays.
But again, I keep feeling like, well, bye week's a good time to make the transition. I still feel like it's not going to be the Niners' call. If Jimmy stinks it up at any point, it's out. It's over. If he starts off hot, though, then the Niners can do what they need to do.
No, yeah, I 100% agree. If he stinks, then they're not going to have a choice. They're not going to be able to.
Yeah.
And then with that expectation,
and he usually stinks week 1. That's the thing about Jimmy.
Yeah,
he usually does.
And now that you said the expectations, what do you think is really going to happen with the season? I know you laid out.
I have significant questions about the durability of their best players, the readiness of their defensive coordinator, and their quarterback stability. I mean, so I think 11 wins. I think 11 wins. They get to the playoffs. They're a wild card, and they just can't make it all the way. But it's a winning season.
I definitely look at it the same way. I think 11-12 wins is realistic, especially considering that we brought everybody back, and the expectation is to have it, like you said, a winning season, especially for Kyle's job. He kind of really needs that on his resume right now. Yeah, most definitely. So, I mean, and then the other thing too that I wanted to discuss was the whole D'Amico Ryans thing. So, I know you've already discussed it, and just to double down on it, I know they brought in Betcher from the Cardinals back when he was there, when Todd Bowles kind of runs that same type of defense that Mike Pettin.
He was under Bowles, and then he replaced Bowles, and then he was with the Giants last year.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that influence with D'Amico Ryans, who I've already mentioned on the show, was a linebacker that was mostly in an odd front defense. I definitely expect us to see a lot more of those type of fronts, because James Betcher is the same defense, 3-4 man blitz, a lot of man blitz. So I think Abucom, I think he could be that Bruce Irving type of role that he was for Seattle back in his prime.
Stand-up rusher.
Yeah, exactly. As the stand-up rusher next to like an Eric Armstead or Bosa.
Yeah.
I definitely think there's going to be a lot of changes. I mean, it's just the question is, who do you put as your nose guard if you go with that? Do you use DJ Jones or do you use Kinlaw? That's.
I think they're going to end up putting Kinlaw over there. Honestly, that's my feeling with Kinlaw, is that he's a very good nose tackle.
He is a bull in a china shop.
That's the way I see him. He's a one technique. Yeah. I don't think he's, to me, a 3 technique is a really refined pass rusher with multiple moves and counters and a plan. And if you're not that, like Armstead isn't that, but he's good at what he does most of the time. Kinlaw, I don't think is that either, but he can be good at what he does. It's just when you're drafting a defensive tackle with the 14th pick, you're really hoping he's Warren Sapp and he's going to be that 3 technique,
Right. No, he definitely needs to continue to develop his pass rush, and
of course,
I definitely think this whole defense is going to be experimental, considering that it's D'Amico Ryans' first year and he's kind of learning on the job. Because in all honesty, Robert Saleh struggled for a while. I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
I remember early in this regime that at 49er games, they were calling out Saleh literally the entire game in the stands. So, I think D'Amico Ryans, though, does have that initial better step because Saleh literally learned on the job as he went. Like now, D'Amico Ryans is going to a situation where it's already established players on an established defense.
True.
And You got the guy looking over you to help you out and give you tips and whatnot.
And he was there with Salah, so he's seen how he coached these players.
You know, he's a big Robert guy like Salah, and the linebackers respect and love him to death. So I definitely see this, you know, I mean, not being as bad as it was in 2017 when Salah started, but definitely not as great as it was last year, obviously. It's going to be like kind of that middle, that mesh, you know, of an in-between type of defense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I was focused on Kyle yesterday, but I need to be as focused on D'Amico in the OTAs because we have no idea what his defense is going to look like. We assume he's going to be, you know, recreating the Robert Saleh defense. Maybe he's got his own thing he wants to do. Maybe there's an evolution.
It's gonna be the same, like similar type of concepts, but it's definitely gonna have a lot more experimental to it. You know, I definitely
have his twist, and I want to see what his stamp is.
Yeah, and two is like, I'm just really excited, honestly, for this whole. This is the most talked about I've ever heard from the Niners in the off season. So you know, it's very exciting to see.
Like the Cowboys now.
To that preseason part you guys were talking about earlier, the way I think this preseason is going to work for most teams, including the Niners, is considering, like you said earlier, they usually start off slow with the starters and then they kind of ramp up and then shut down in week 4. I think it'll be the opposite. I think they'll start heavy. Starters will be heavy in the first game and then they'll slow down shortly by week 2 and week 3.
Be interesting to see how they can figure it, man. Hey, great to see you, Jose.